What's up, guys? D7.
All right, I'd like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakudash. Welcome to another live
All
lesson.
right, let's start.
The name of this one is, where are we? Get ready for the new system. And pretty much, I've been waiting for the spirit to hit me with a lesson. And pretty much, I was scrolling through YouTube and pretty much I ran across this video with Dabu 7 where he said it begins Trump orders Treasury Secretary to stop minting pennies, pushes digital blockchain money. So I actually went online, just to check the sources to see if there was any sources that actually, spoke on this. And I did find several. So I'm going to, pretty much highlight one that the first one that I found actually on my phone, which is from ABC News, 8 News, ABC 8 News. It says U.S. and world. So long, penny. Trump orders U.S. to ditch 1 cent coin after decades of complaints. And there people speaking on if it's they're not sure if it's lawful for him, to actually ditch the penny, so on and so forth. But we'll see because we're at a point now where and there's going to be stuff that's going to be happening that's going to pretty much the normal, because we're in pretty much um, prophetic times, where the Lord is really starting to open up, and this devil, he ain't been there a month and a half, and he's wreaking all kind of havoc. So much so that people that voted for him, people that were were rooting for him, people that were happy that he got in there, they're starting to question if this man is a maniac or not. If they made the right decision, but it's too late. He's already in there. Just like when you was hollering and hooping and hollering that you wanted Biden and Kamala Harris in there, and then when they got in there, you saw the madness that was going on. It was too late. There was nothing you could do. So now we're at the point where he's making moves. He said he was gonna come in there and really start, you know, coming in there, and just start signing away executive order after executive order and getting things done. Well, he's getting things cracking, and I hope that this does happen because if this happens, like Dabu was saying, and I put Dabu's link in the description box of this video. He was saying here, the pennies first, the nickel will follow. So what else you think will follow after that? Everything else will follow. And the main thing that they want is to get this digital currency in place. Now I've been saying this for a while. They may get the CBDC, they may get blockchain, or they may get some form of digital currency. They may get something in there, that's going to be digital. But whatever they get in there, once the system is in place, that's when they can make the necessary, you know, um, provisions. Just like I mentioned from time to time about Jekyll Island. And in Jekyll Island, you had a meeting back in 1910. I believe it was 7 men or 9 men or something like that. I can't remember. I forgot to look it up. But the point is that these men that went to Jekyll Island, they hammered out a bill to put in the Federal Reserve System into play that we know today and the money system that we know today here in America and around the world for that matter. And they took out certain provisions out of it that certain individuals were against. And that very year that they hammered it out, put everything in place, I believe it was 1910, if I'm not mistaken. You had the Titanic that was on its maiden voyage, and they actually had all of these top banking individuals and different business individuals, and like the top, like the creme of the current creme when it comes to making decisions in Washington, so on and so forth. And they had them get on there, including Rockefeller and them. They got on the ship, but unbeknownst to those other individuals that got on, the Rockefellers and them other banking families that knew what was going on got off. And when that ship went, they sunk that ship. And when that ship sunk, it killed the opposition to the Federal Reserve System. All right. So um, Warburg told this individual, Nelson Aldrich, he said, because Nelson Aldrich was pig-headed, and he was a pompous asshole, and he wanted the bill to have his name on it. He told him no. So then once they saw that they rejected it, what they did was they went and revamped it, called it the Federal Reserve System, took out certain provisions. Once again, there was opposition from Nelson Aldrich. Said, look, we don't want those provisions out. We want those provisions in there. And Paul Warburg told him, listen, we want to get the bill passed. Once it's passed and becomes law, we can make the necessary provisions. And that's exactly what they did. So now, once they get this digital system in place, which is the system of the future, then pretty much, they can do and make whatever they want the currency of the time. So let me get a quick precept that came to mind first. Those of you brothers that have been watching for a while, you already know this. Let's go to Daniel chapter 12 for the newer members. And verse 4, it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and sealed the book. So this book has been sealed, from even from the Old Testament times, and it's pretty much been sealed all the way up until this very day. The first time it was starting to uh, when the first time it was actually revealed was when Yahushua was on the scene 2,000 years ago, but most couldn't even see it. Not even the disciples had a full understanding of it at the time until Yahushua was crucified, went back to the Father, and started to open up the seals of the book. All right. But then after that, the men of understanding, the men that were the light after Yahushua, they all died off, and then the truth went dormant for a certain period of time. It went on in sleep mode. And then in the 1900s, you had a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens that knew he was an Israelite, but he was following like the other individuals that were following just the Old Testament, and they were following the so-called, the small hats. And eventually they didn't deal with the New Testament, because the small hats don't deal with the New Testament, because the New Testament speaks of Yahushua, not no Jesus. And they don't believe that the Messiah came yet, because they believe that the Messiah is going to come in this time for the first time. And they are totally wrong on that. So eventually he was the one that the Lord used to break away from that spell of just dealing with the Old Testament. And he started to delve into the New Testament, because there are a lot of jewels in the New Testament. I'm going to come back to that. There are a lot of jewels in the New Testament that, started to be manifested during his time, and those mysteries started to be open. So let's go to first Matthew 13 and 52. And says, then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. So things out of the Old Testament and things out of the New Testament. All right, because the new and the old go together like a hand and glove. This is why when Yahushua was on the scene, the apostles and the rest of the men that were teaching this, they always kept saying, what? As it is written. Written where? In the Old Testament. And they complement one with the other. They both complement each other. All right. So going back to Daniel chapter 12 and 4, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And we're at the point now that knowledge is being increased. And how is this knowledge being increased? By the use of the web, by this, emerging technology that's, taking the world and has taken the world by storm, to where everything is becoming digital, because that is the very way that these things would happen and come to pass. Let's go real quick to Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse. We're gonna go to the let's go to the 28th verse first, and we'll read that, and then that way we can segue up, a little bit above that, to give you the way that the truth was really pushed at a high rate using the technology that the Lord gave Esau, this devil. And you have to understand that the technology that we see today emerging, right? This, smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, flat screens, and the signals that are coming through them, it's nothing new. You've heard Elder Pastor mention it many times. That's nothing more than the ancient Urim and the Thummim, which the word Urim and Thummim come from the Hebrew words Awarium wa Thamayim, which means light and perfection. Because whenever there was a situation that went down that no one was sure of, they may have not have been any witnesses. They would go before the Lord and present it before Him, and then He would show them, through these stones what exactly happened. So it would be a vision that was shown to them, to the priests and to the leaders of the time, to show them what happened. So that's pretty much what the Lord gave Esau, and technology wise, to be able to put it together into these devices that we see today. All right. But they think they came up with it. So it says here, 2nd Ezra 6:28, as for faith it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome. Right. Because even though corruption is prevailing today all over the planet, it's the faith is flourishing and the corruption is being overcome by what? By the truth. And there are certain individuals that are, potential members of the elect of the nation of Israel that are waking up to this, all over the planet. And the truth, which is the main thing that has been hidden, which has been so long without fruit. Why? Because it went dormant for a while. And then during the time of the Renaissance, it was hidden, right? So the truth which had been so, and there was a great deception that took place at that time. So the truth which had been so long without fruit shall be declared, or shall be made clear. So what is the vehicle that was used to make this thing so? When we go to the 20th verse, it says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, meaning when this present world, the dominion of Esau, the final ruler, the final age of the heathen rulerships would be ready to come to an end, then will I show these tokens. So the Lord will show certain signs on the earth to let us know that we're at the end. And we see different signs such as earthquakes, famines, uproars of the people, pestilence, and different things happening worldwide. But the thing that lets us know even more now that we're closer than ever before is this technology that's emerging in the world, and that has emerged in the world, right? It says these are we'll show these tokens. The books, which is the Bible, shall be opened. Why? Because at one time they were closed, they were sealed. But then the Lord caused in this time by a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens to actually open up the seals of the book, to go into the New Testament, to really break into the mysteries, that would pretty much shake, I guess you could say, shake, rattle, and roll the bones in Ezekiel to come together with the breath in them. And that's what gave the final breath. Because Jake was waking up to be an Israelites. There were Jakes that were coming together because of certain, oppressions that they were going through, and they found that there was one major element that was, responsible for causing them that those heartaches and those hard times. But a lot of them didn't have the truth of who they were and the reason why they were in this condition and what would be the solution, because they had different solutions of coming together, making an economic basis, putting, violence down between brother and brother, so-called Negroes against so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos against so-called Latinos, Native American Indians against Native American Indians, but they didn't have the truth of who they were as a people. All right, that didn't happen until Elder Abba Bivens came on the scene, and the Lord revealed these things to him, and he started teaching men, and he taught a lot of men. I don't know how many, but I know it was a whole lot because he was a great teacher, right? But out of all those men that he taught when he was in his deathbed, he only chose, the Lord used him to choose three men, which was King Masha, High Priest Arya, High Priest Yaikwab. And those are the three pillars, that the Lord used to build what we see today, going back then. Then eventually more men came in. You've heard the stories of the seven, the top seven, and then you had men that were under them, so on and so forth, and how the school was built, and then how they were schools back then, and how, a lot of them men fell out. And then eventually what happened? You had the 10 long hard years, which we call them, from about 1997 to about 2007. In 2007, even though it started around 2005, 2006, but in 2007, this is what we call the YouTube era. And the YouTube era is when, brothers out there started waking up, eventually started to go out and started opening camps and teaching in the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and bringing out the same gospel that had been brought out going all the way back to the 60s, and of all the elders that taught before us. All right. So that was a major shakeup. So that's how the books were opened, because at one time they were closed. And this is why these devils are, like, I've heard a story, which I believe it to be true, that there was this either one Edomite or two Edomites. I remember either one or two, but I know definitely one Edomite that drove up in the limo, got out the limo, read the 12 tribe sign, which everybody's against, and then he looked at the men that were teaching and said, "How did you guys find out? We spent millions of dollars to cover this up." And then he left. Now, I'm not sure what the rest of the exchange was, but the point is, why would he say that? Because the Lord had opened the seals up, and these unchristians, these so-called scholars, these gatekeepers of this anti-Christian religion, are amazed at how brothers that came from nothing, that didn't go to these different schools that are set up by Esau, can know such great mysteries of this Bible. And they've even said, if you go deal with those Hebrew Israelites, you better study, because they know that Bible, and that's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Why? Because the seals of the book have been opened. All right. And now we see the floodgates of the truth abounding. Like Yahweh said, he that believeth on me, as the scriptures have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. Right. So it says this book shall be opened before the firmament, but that's the difference. The difference is the books weren't just open and the understanding abounding, but they were open before the firmament. Now, you may ask, if you don't know, what is the firmament? When you go to Genesis, the first chapter, it tells you what the firmament is. And pretty much the firmament is, for lack of better words, a radiation belt that goes around the earth, which Esau calls the ozone layer. It's a protective belt of radiation, right? And it's wider, it goes wider than that, because you have something called the Van Allen belt, which I'm not sure how wide it is. I know I've heard it before, but I don't remember exactly how wide the Van Allen belt is. But these are belts of radiation that are used to keep the outer atmosphere from coming crashing into the inner atmosphere, and also, to keep, the outer atmosphere itself from coming into the inner atmosphere, because the inner atmosphere is set up and is conducive for the breathing of man, for the breathing of animals. Just like the waters are set up, those elements are closer together to help those creatures in the sea breathe. All right. And the elements outside of these firmaments, or outside of the firmament and outside of these radiation belts, it are further apart to where you won't be able to breathe out there if you're a man, unless you have some type of contraption on. So that's what it was set up. So now, what is the firmament used for now? You have satellites in flight, and these satellites in flight are vehicles that are used to send signals. Signals are sent to them from satellites on the earth to the satellites in the heaven. And those satellites in the heavens, what they do is they turn around and spread the signals all over the planet. Okay. Uh, Built roughly 1,000 to 12,000 kilometers. So 620 to 7,500 miles above Earth's surface. Okay. The Van Allen belt, outer belt, extends from about 13,500 to 60,000 kilometers, or 8,400 miles to 37,000 miles. And Esau, that's what he says. They have what they so-called be able to measure stuff out, but that's what they say. But we'll know for sure when Yahweh Shai comes back, because it says we prophesy in part, for we know in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away with. So those signals that are broadcasting back and forth between these satellites are used to transmit signals across the global tube, and that what that does is it pushes out the understanding of the mysteries of the books that have been opened, which is the Bible, and it's entering into the minds of the people of the world. Some is doesn't affect them as far as them waking up, but it seals their fate, and others, once they hear it, there's something in their spirit that triggers them to want to be drawn to this and to learn more. You see? So it says, and they shall see all together. So that technology that the Lord gave Esau of the satellites was used to push this word around the earth, because you could have a brother in New York, or you could have a brother in Chicago, or in California, or any place in America doing a video, and people all over the planet can see it. Shalom, you want to thon, shalom to if there's any apostles watching, any bishops, any elders, camp leaders, sincere brothers out there, and a few sincere sisters, keep on hanging in there. So it was used to push this word all throughout the whole planet. All right. So that's how the books were open. That's how the mysteries were revealed, and that's how the knowledge was increased in Daniel 12. All right, because at one time it was closed. So by Trump doing this, right, telling the Treasury Secretary to stop minting pennies, pretty much what that's bringing in is the new system, right? And that new system, which is the dollar, the digital dollar, you could say, get ready for the new system. That is the digital system that is pretty much is in place, all over the planet anyway. All right, it's in place all over the planet right now. And once these devils get the infrastructure in place, then all bets are off, which the infrastructure is in place. All they have to do right now is pass, the right legislation, or have the right crisis happen, or put the right currency in place, or get the system going. Then they can mandate that you get a microchip put in you, which is the actual MOTB, which once the system is in place, you won't be able to buy or sell unless you're in that system. All right. This is why everything is going digital. Everything is going digital. You know. So I want to read a little bit of this. This is from ABC News. Shalom, bro. Yeah, this is from ABC News, U.S. World News. This is from Channel 8. It says, so long, penny. Trump orders U.S. to ditch 1 cent coin after decades of complaints. So this is Richmond, Virginia. The lowly penny, the forgotten mainstay of coin jars and car cup holders everywhere, may soon be no more. President Donald Trump announced Sunday he's ordered his administration to cease production of the 1 cent coin, whose buying power is long past its prime. Advocates for ditching the penny cite its high production costs, currently almost 4 cents per penny, according to the U.S. Mint, and limited utility. Fans of the penny cite its usefulness in charity drives and relative bargain in production costs compared with the nickel, which costs almost 14 cents to mint. So this is the cover story, That's the cover story because they have to come up with an excuse or a solution or a reason why they want to get rid of this, digital. Oh, I'm sorry, this penny. Because see, people think, oh, it's just a penny. Other people say, no, I want to keep my pennies. So there'll be a fight back and forth. But the point is, if they successful with this, guess what? Like Dabu said, everything else comes next. You have the nickel that comes next. And then you'll say, you know what? Let's get rid of all the coins. We don't need coins anymore. Just have and then let's get rid of the dollars. They just need the system of this digital currency in place. And that's what, these other rockhead, leaders of Israel do not understand, or they took bags to not see it, you know, and that's going to cause their demise, their destruction, and the destruction of their congregation. And this is why these individuals waste so much fucking time on gimmicks, pushing their merchandise, selling you everything that's not nailed to the ground. Like Ephraim has a saying that pretty much, like a thief, he would even steal the nails out the cross, because before this I didn't have a problem, but now I have a problem. um, there's a shout out to the brother Qadar. Can Trump really order the Treasury to stop minting pennies without Congress's approval? Yes, according to legal scholar Lawrence H. Tribe, the Carl M. Loeb University professor of constitutional law, emeritus at Harvard University, U.S. Code gives the Treasury Secretary the authority to mint and issue coins in amounts the Secretary decides are necessary to meet the needs of the United States. If Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent decides the amount necessary for the penny is zero, he's within his legal right to, Tribe said. Unlike a lot of what the new administration has been doing pursuant to the flood of executive orders since January 20th, see, and this is like been the most, this is broken the record of the most, executive orders that have been signed by a president in his first days in office. This action seems to me entirely lawful and fully constitutional, Tribe said, referring to the aggressive executive action Trump's taken on other issues since taking office. And that's what they're there for, to offer their expert opinion on these different issues, and a lot of them are being influenced by the lobbyists, which pretty much are the large corporations that are pretty much funding these senators, these congressmen, and the government, to pass legislation in their favor. That's why a lot of times you'll see things passing not for the favor of the people, but for the favor of these corporations. That's why they're allowed to put all this garbage in the food, because Like Maya Angelou said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. It says Congress, which dictates currency specifications like the size and metal content of coins, could make Trump's order permanent through law. Remember, let's get a quick precept real quick. That's the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, and verse 1. You know that the lamb is on the stove. The lamb is on the stove. Shalom, ya Shabbat. You know that this brother smoked last night. That's it right there. Okay. And Isaiah chapter 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. And what is an unrighteous decree? Well, a decree is a law, an order. And righteous decrees are just that. Pretty much laws that oppress the people. And oppression don't always mean just beating somebody, or browbeating them or talking down to them. Oppression also comes in the form of monetary. It's a monetary thing too, economic thing. And you could say right now that the people of America are being oppressed, financially. That's why it's harder for them to find work. It's harder for them to pay their bills. It's something when you have to make a decision whether you're going to pay bills today, put gas in your car, or eat. And it's if a man's doing it, then the decisions are a little easier because he's a man, he can deal with it. But if you have a woman, you have children, especially young children, it's a harder thing. So it's an oppression. And that's why in Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 7, it says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. And the borrower would be the people, the working class, and they're servant to the lender, which would be the international banking families, which are the rich men of this planet. All right. So going back to Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decree, which is all this legislation that's being passed in Congress. And that is the very way that they're going to come in and set their whole plans in motion, and also be able to justify their actions of grabbing people up and locking them up for not complying with these mandates, with these laws. People are talking shit now, that get the immigrants out of here. You're passing all these executive orders to get them out of here. But guess what? If you're deemed to be a threat to them, well, guess what? Those same laws that are in place, those same executive orders, can eventually apply to you. And then you will be sent away to another country, to a prison somewhere else, to Guantanamo Bay, to Abu Ghraib, to all them different other, black sites, if they deem it so. You don't know, darkness is coming, man. Darkness is coming to earth. Darkness is coming, man. And this devil is moving. And man, we hope that this devil really gets it cracking. And we hope the Lord, Yahweh Bashim puts a spirit on him just to do it. Just fucking do it, man. It says, in their right grievousness, which they have prescribed. See, a prescription is what? A pre-written order. So they already had these things in play, but they just had to find the right opportunity to get them in there, the right crisis to get them in there, to use, this legislation to justify the next move, to justify their new world order, which is written right on the back of the dollar bill. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is the new order of the ages, or the new order of the world. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment, and that's what they're doing, turning aside the needy from judgment, especially Jake, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, because those are the main ones that are being oppressed. Why? Because we are the ones that are under the direct curse that the Lord put upon us. Like the servant that is under thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, thou shalt not lend to him. You shall come to this man for the one of all things, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just, so much that these devils do with just passing just legislation in itself. And that's been their whole game. That's what the Lord said, unto the wicked, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my laws in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. You just use the words of the Lord when it's convenient for you, but then you discard it to bring out your penal code to justify your BS. You claim to be a Christian, a Judeo-Christian society, but your actions do not, mimic that. Your actions do not, show that you are, you know, a so-called God-fearing people. You see? So it says that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's all you do. You justify taking people's lands, you justify taking people's resources, you justify putting people in captivity by these wicked legislations that you push out to the world. And you're going to be severely dealt with, man. As my man Yumyan used to say. Inside joke. And what will you do on the day of visitation? Right, because you will be visited. And we're going to come back to this. You will be visited because the Lord is going to visit you, you rich men of the earth. So let's go back and let's try to glean a little more off of this. So it says Congress, which dictates currency specifications like the size and metal content of coins, could make Trump's order permanent through law. See, it says, but past congressional efforts to ditch the penny have failed. All right, past congressional efforts to ditch the penny have failed. Pennies are mostly made of zinc, and the American zinc lobby has been a major opponent to suggestions that penny would be eliminated. How many pennies are in circulation? Blah 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 blah. Will Americans miss pennies? The experiences in other countries suggest no. Yeah, because you won't miss pennies really because most you get the pennies. You don't really use the pennies that much. I mean, I do, because I'm a nerd like that. Because I like doing things like that. But at the end of the day, most people, they'll have pennies that they've had for 10, 20, 30 years, in their crib, just stacking up. And the only time you really use them is when you go back and you trade them in, if you're in a jam and need some money. But other than that, you don't really use those pennies, you know. Let's see what comes next. Trump's order, which he announced in a social media post as he was departing New Orleans after watching the first half of the Super Bowl, was the latest in his administration's rapid fire efforts to cut government costs. Yeah, and a certain individual said that he got a call from Trump, and I was looking in Trump's section to see if he was actually there, but he wasn't there. So I don't know. Maybe his car caught a flat. Maybe his car broke down on the way to New Orleans. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't able to make it. Maybe his phone died, so he couldn't call an Uber. I don't know what happened. But I didn't see him sitting next to Trump, and and breaking math. Not math, breaking today's mathematics. With Trump. Because Trump so desperately needed to talk to him. Uh, um, Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time, Trump wrote in his post, which was light on details about plans for a post penny future. Yeah, because the thing is, they're not concerned with all the details. They're concerned with getting the action created, done, so that it can make way for their real intention, which is the digital currency. All right. So going back to Isaiah 10 and 3, and what will you do in the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will you flee for help? And where will you leave your glory? Right? Where you going to leave your glory, Esau? You know? Now, Jake, that doesn't leave their glory, that leaves their glory, will not be able to be protected. They're going to bow down, they're going to bow down to the slaughter. But Esau is also going to be, visited of these things. Draining the swamp. Yeah, that's right, bro. James chapter 5. Go to now, ye rich men. It says, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right. So these rich men are the international banking families. Weep and howl. When you're weeping and howling, it's one thing to cry or to whimper, or to, you know, have a quick, cry because of something that, might have happened to you. You might momentarily get emotional, but when you weeping and howling, that means you suffered a great loss. For your miseries that shall come upon you, because miseries will come upon you, and you will be severely dealt with. Your riches are corrupted. Why? Because the way that you got those riches was not by right. Matter of fact, that's Ecclesiastes 5, is it? Ecclesiastes 5. If not, then I'll just type it in. Um, by right. Let's see. Um, Let me type it in there. So let's see if this will come up. Not by. Nope, that's not it. So I believe it's Ecclesiastes, but let me try it. Or maybe it's in the Apocrypha. Not by right. You know what? It might be. Oh no, this is it right here. Jeremiah 17:11. And you know what? Let me just get this one since it came to mind. Proverbs 28. And let me find the verse. Right. Beautiful. So let me go back. Jeremiah 17:11. As the partridge sitteth on eggs and hatcheth them not, right. So he that getteth riches and not by right. In other words, they're not going to get to enjoy it. You have something called a nest egg. What is a nest egg? Nest egg is something that you put aside for a rainy day. Well, when a rainy day comes, which are the missiles, you're not going to be able to have that nest egg, because it's going to be like a partridge sitting on the egg and it's not going to hatch. Why? Because of the corruption and the way that you got it. So shall he that getteth riches and not by right shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool, because the world is going to realize, they're going to know what you did to get those riches. That's why the Lord said he was shameful spewing on your glory. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increases his substance, which that's what Esau has done, and anyone that has a working brain, a half a working brain, a quarter working brain, you know that this devil has stole the whole planet pretty much. And then when you confront him on it, he acts stupid. He'll come up with some cockamamie excuse, or use plausible deniability. It says, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor, because you're going to gather all of those riches from around the world, in the bottom of the sea, in the bottom of the oceans, in the remote jungles, and in the deserts, wherever there's treasure at. You're going to be digging all that up and bringing it to us. But first, you're going to bring us your riches. And we ain't taking no paper dollars. We ain't taking no quarters and dimes and nickels and pennies. So you could do away with. They could go fuck off. You know. So let's go back to James. So your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eating. Right. The way that you sit up in this splendid, arrogant, pompous, flamboyant, um, pseudo royal way, that's all a facade. You're not the royal people. You are the lowest of the low of the planet, but you're playing a position that you don't belong in. But the only reason why you're in that position is because the Lord set you up as the basement of the earth to show us what it's like, to defy the Most High, to disobey the Most High, to take us, the royal people of the planet, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and put us underneath a nobody, the lowest scum of the earth. A vagabond and a fugitive of the earth. That's the lowest scum of the earth. The basis of men. Because no other nation has the history of being in that low state of a caveman like you. And that's why when you try to research the history of the cavemen, they won't tell you the time period that it was in. they'll tell you it was billions of years ago. Because that, first of all, that history is shameful to them, and second of all, if you put it back that far, ain't nobody gonna be able to find them records. So they really just totally hid that, you know, from the world. Forget about it. It says your gold and your silver is cankered, right? Because it's like it has a cancer. Why? Because of the way you got it. And then that little bit of tarnish, or that lot of bit of tarnish, began to tarnish it all. And everything you did, everything you bought, everything you purchased, everything that was associated with those ill-gotten gains has tainted all of that. That what you did has tainted everything else you amassed. So you're sitting on a tottering fence. You're sitting on dominoes that are about to fall. And the rust of them, which is the way you got them, shall be a witness against you, because you will fall, you will falter, you will collapse. Let me get hold on deck. Let me finish this up a little bit. Hold on deck. This is a king of mine. Let me just find the verse roughly. I'll leave it there. So it says, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, right? You have heaped treasures together for the last days, and that's what you did. No, but those treasures that you heap for the last days are really going to be given to us, because the scripture said that we're going to boast in the riches of the nations. And our gates are going to be open continually, so that the nations can continually bring their money to us, their riches to us. All right. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is us, which is the working class, which is of you kept back by fraud. Why? Because the money system that you have in place is not a currency or wage worthy. Okay? Because it's nothing more than a debt bearing note. Here it is, you're indebted to us for working for you, but you're paying us with a debt bearing note. And that debt bearing note that's given to us causes us to be under a debt system. You see? It says, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. And this goes hand in hand with Job, the 20th chapter, where it speaks about every hand of the wicked shall be against him, because it ain't talking about other Edomites. It's talking about the working class, the laborers. Elder Pastor was the first one to bring that out. It says, you have lived in pleasure on the earth, and you have. Hey, this is the parable of the rich man. You have lived sumptuous. They fared sumptuous every day. This extravagant, careless way of living that you have. This extravagant lifestyle that you have. These $1,000 for one pair of shoes, or $2,000 for a pair of shoes, or $1,000 for a button-down shirt. $350 for a tie, silk tie, or whatever it's made of. The suits that you wear, whatever, if you wear cologne or jewelry or whatever, all of that stuff, you got it by unjust gain. And been wanted, right? You've been undisciplined. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter, right? So you're about to pretty much, you about to really reap the benefits of your theft across the world. This is what your New World Order is about. You're licking your chops, but that's going to be your demise, because the Lord said when he is about to eat, the Lord shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him while he is eating. So that's when your whole house of cards is going to come crashing down. It says, you have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you, right? Because we don't have power to resist you. That's why the scriptures say, leave vengeance unto the Lord. We don't have any power to resist whatever you're going to do. the great insurrection you're going to bring against us, we don't have power against that. The only power we have is the power of prayer and faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai, that when these things come, he's going to do what he said he's going to do. And that's, he said, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, then the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. You know, so we're looking and hoping for that divine intervention to come when you make your move. And when you make your move, then the Lord's going to checkmate your ass. All right, so going to Isaiah chapter 14 and 5. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. So your staff and your power has been broken. That's why you don't really hold sway on the people of the planet like you used to, even though you're still in a power seat to where you are still able to dictate certain mandates and certain orders on the people of the world because they're still doing business here. But the sway that you had at one time, the power that you had at one time is not what it used to be. That's why you have the BRICS nation coming in. You're against the BRICS nations, because it's a threat. And remember what Rockefeller said. He said competition is a sin. So this is a competition to your new world order. And that's why you have a problem with them. Yep, Esau clinging on to power, he is fed. Right, Esau is clinging on to failing power. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. And this is ongoing, man. Because when you put somebody into a debt, when you put somebody into having to work for you because they're indebted, it's hard to come out of that. Especially when you keep paying them and you keep adding more and more fees to what they owe. And that's why this system is so corrupt, because when you buy something and you try to pay it off, it's like you're still chasing it always. And you can never, you say, damn, like this woman, she had said something about she had paid up like $70,000 or something like that on her education, on that bill, whatever that bill is called, for her education. And she said she still owes it, even more than that, because the system that's set up and the way it's set up and the companies that are set up for you to pay are getting paid off of what you're paying, and they're collecting from you, but then they're taxing you on top of that. And a part of that money that you're paying toward your bill is going towards that company that's officiating the business. Shalom, bro. That is going is funding the company that's helping you or so-called helping you to pay this bill down. So all of the money that you pay, if you got a $300 or $325 bill, or whatever, let's say you got a $500 bill that you paid towards that particular bill, they're getting a cut off of that. They might be getting a third of that. So only 2/3 of that money is going towards the actual bill. You see? So right, it's straight up usury, which is nothing more than damn. Just bear with me a second. Sometimes I kind of forget what that word is, usury in modern terms. Damn, Salakia, I'm having a brain fart over here. It'll come eventually, Lord's will. All right. Interest, the water brother. Though I knew somebody was gonna come through in the spirit. The water brother, interest. Yep. They're taxing interest. Yep. Interest. Yep. It says, "He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth." Right. So when you go down, we're not the only ones you got to worry about. You got to worry about them Hamites, them Elamites, them Ishmaelites, them Japhites, all them other nations that are licking their chops waiting for your ass to go down. Them Moabites, them Ammonites, and they still got a bone to pick with you. They still looking at you from shit that you've done in the past that they ain't never forgot about. You see? So you got a lot to pay for. So you're going to be the most miserablest crop of slaves on the planet. you Edomites. And then eventually, after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery, you're going to be exterminated. Now, we don't know what the Lord is going to do with your spirit, but we do know that you as a people will not exist anymore. There's not going to be, there was 5 Edomite that their fathers repented, so they were able to come onto this side. No, remember what Abraham told the rich man in the parable. He said, between us and you, there's a great gulf fixed, where the ones from you that will come over here can't, and the ones from here that will go over there can't. That's that great divide. Not one Edomite will be saved. All Esau will be destroyed. You could read Ezekiel 35. You could read Obadiah, which is 1 chapter long. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. You're not going to have anyone that can stop it. Nobody's going to be able to stop it. Nobody's going to intervene and say, no, you ain't going to have no ninjas in that day saying, why you got to hate the white man, man? Man, shut the hell up. Can't you see what this devil has done? Ain't you upset about that? And that's about the lesson we did yesterday concerning, those that sigh and that cry for the abominations that be done there. If you have an individual now in 2025 that's riding for the so-called white man, you are a fucking straight up lost demon. You are a straight up lost cause, man. If you can't go back into history, as much information that's out here now, you can't go back into history and see all the bloodshed and all the heartaches, hardships, and the corruption that this devil has done to the earth, to the animals, to the people, to us, the Israelites, then you deserve what you get. There's no excuse nowadays in 2025 for you to be so stupid, for you to be so, ignorant of what this devil has done. It says the whole earth is at rest and is quiet, right? When you go down, everything is going to be quiet. It says they break forth into singing. Why? Because right now the earth is in the mourning state. They're mourning. Why? Because the people that are in power are the wicked. And the scripture identifies the Edomites as being the wicked. So that's how you know that you are the Edomites. The actions and the effects of the earth witness against you. If you was to take a census, of how the people are doing on the earth, are people of the world happy or are they mourning? You're going to get a majority rule that the earth is in mourning. The people are in mourning. The people are doing bad. And there's going to be a small amount, like they call it the 1% that's doing good. The rest of the world is suffering. It says they break forth into singing. It says, yea, the fir tree rejoiced at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. Right, because even the trees are going to be rejoicing at you. The people are rejoicing. They're going to rejoice, and the trees are going to rejoice. You could say this is twofold, because the people of the earth are going to be rejoicing. The trees of the earth are going to be rejoicing, because the trees of the earth, the flowers, all of that has life. Those are all living beings, living things. That's why they sprout, they live, they grow up, and they die. Hell from beneath, which is your destruction, which is a condition you're going to be brought to, is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, which are the nations, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, because the Lord is going to cause all these nations to straight up hate you. You're not going to have any friends left. It says, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Yeah, because right now you're at the point where your power is waning. And that ability, or that ace in the hole, so to speak, that you had of your nuclear technology, a lot of nations are getting it. And Russia got more missiles than you. I believe China has more missiles than you. and other nations are getting the missile. So you can't puff at people like you used to. They ain't bound. They ain't scared of you no more. They go ahead and make a move. You see what we gonna do. That's what they saying. Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, right? Because that great pride of yours, that Esau's pride, is gonna be brought down to the grave. It's gonna be brought down low. And the noise of thy vials, right? This lousy music that you got, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. This is what I wanted. The worms are spread under thee, and the worms cover thee, because that's a representation of your system being corroded because of the way that you got it. That's why it says here in verse 2 of James 5, your riches are corrupted and your garments are eaten, because your whole system is corrupt. And that's why your system is falling apart. You think in the kingdom of heaven, you're going to have rusty bridges. You're going to have, a building, bricks falling out of building, cranes falling out of, no, you ain't going to have none of that shit in the kingdom. Everything's going to be pristine. Once it's set up, it's going to be there established forever, because it's going to be in righteousness. You ain't going to have to, oh, well, it's been 20 years, we're going to have to, do take this part of the building, put some scaffolding around it. We got to fix it up because the bricks or the gold is falling off. No, it's going to be pristine forever. It says, verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Here come them rockhead anti-Christians. Yeah, that's talking about Satan falling out of heaven. No, it's not. The word Lucifer just means light bearer, which is talking about the Illuminati today. It says, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation? Because you're going down. You're going to be taken out. And for those of you that are new that don't know, when you go down to the 16th verse, this proves that it's not talking about spiritual demon Satan. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? How they do that? With their missiles, their bombs. So this showing you that it's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Just like I said, for those of you that don't know. So pretty much I put this video, the 007 video, which is, Trump, vows to get rid of the,
if you have an old heating or air conditioning,
the penny. I'm trying to wait for it to load up so I could give you the right there. It begins. Trump orders Treasury Secretary to stop minting pennies, pushes digital blockchain money, and I put
there's
that in the
one
description.
single video that's responsible for
play asshole. And also this article here, which I found plenty of articles that long. This is from ABC News, 8 News. So long, U.S. and world. So long, penny. Trump orders U.S. to ditch 1 cent coin after decades of complaints. And this can also bring about, if they pass this, it could also bring about them justifying getting rid of all our physical currency, dollars included. That could very well be the domino effect that can knock it all down, because he's pushing digital currency and really eventually trying to get rid of the cash. All right, so that everything could be done online, so you won't be able to make a move without being online. And what you think they're going to use for the currency once they get the system in place? The MOTB, which is the micro C. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.